The desert wind carried the scent of juniper and dust across the plains of Arizona, the kind of wind that whispered secrets from old bones buried beneath sunburnt stone. Ethan Cole, tall, weather-beaten, sharp-eyed, rode his buckskin horse along the canyon ridge, boots dusty and hat tilted low to block the glare of the dawn sun. Folks called him Iron Hand Cole, the cowboy with the cold stare and the warm heart, though Ethan himself would have said he had long forgotten what warmth truly felt like. That morning was like any other, sky blazing orange, cattle grazing like slow shadows, and Ethan alone with memories he'd buried years ago. Memories of a girl he'd saved once, a girl with dark eyes that burned with something like fire, something like hope. He'd nearly convinced himself she was just part of some half-dream from a lifelong past, but fate has a habit of circling back. Ethan led his horse toward Whispering Canyon, the place where the land dipped into shadow, where the wind made sounds like someone humming an old tribal song. He had no reason to go there except that something tugged him inward, some echo of a moment from 10 years before. The memory sharpened suddenly, a young Apache girl cornered by outlaws, her ankle bleeding, her eyes full of fierce defiance even though she could barely stand. Ethan had fought hard that day, fought like a man who knew the difference between cruelty and honor, and he had carried her out of that canyon. She had told him her name only once, barely above a breath, Nayeli, and then she had vanished into the desert, swallowed by her tribe before Ethan could say a proper goodbye. He never forgot her, but he truly believed she'd forgotten him. As he reached the canyon floor, his horse stopped abruptly, ears flicking forward. Ethan turned sharply, instinct honed from years of danger. A figure stood at the mouth of the canyon, blocking the golden light, a silhouette carved out of fire and shadow. A woman. No, not just any woman. She stepped forward, and the light unveiled her, tall, regal, wrapped in a deep crimson woven shawl decorated with Apache patterns. Her hair flowed black and smooth like river obsidian, and her eyes held that same fire Ethan remembered, older now, sharper, but unmistakably hers. "Cowboy," she said softly, her voice steady but warm. "Do you remember me?" Ethan's heart staggered in his chest like a wild horse hitting a fence. "Nayeli," he whispered, her lips curved into a knowing smile. "It's been many years." Ethan dismounted without thinking. He couldn't stop staring. It was like time had folded in on itself, bringing with it a storm of memories he thought he'd locked away. She moved closer, and he saw faint scars on her wrists, marks that told stories of battles, survival, and strength. "You saved my life," she said, "and the spirits have led me back to you." Ethan swallowed hard, unsure what to do with the warmth blooming in his chest. I didn't think you'd remember." "I remembered every day," she said simply, "and I have returned to honor the promise I made." "Promise?" Ethan frowned. "We never." She stepped even closer, her shawl swaying like flames. "I told my people, one day, I will return to that cowboy because I owe him my life, and perhaps, my heart." Ethan felt the ground shift beneath him. He had no words. Nayeli lifted her chin with quiet strength. "In my tribe, there is an old tradition. When a life is saved unjustly, the rescued can choose to bind their destiny to the rescuer to balance the spirit's gift." She placed her hand over his. "I choose you, Ethan Cole." His breath caught. Then she said the words that would change his life forever. "I have returned to marry you." The canyon went silent, holding its breath. Ethan stared into her eyes, searching for illusion. But what he saw was truth, raw, fierce, and undeniable. The desert wind swept around them, stirring dust into shimmering spirals, as though the land itself acknowledged her declaration. But before Ethan could speak, the sudden echo of distant gunfire shattered the moment. Nayeli's eyes narrowed. She turned toward the sound, every muscle tensed. "They followed me," she whispered. "I didn't expect them so soon." "Who followed you?" Ethan demanded, reaching for his revolver. "Men who hunt my people. Men who know I came to find you. Men who would kill us, both to stop the alliance between a cowboy and the Apache." Her voice hardened like steel. "They are coming, Ethan." Ethan stepped in front of her, ready for battle. "Then stay behind me." Nayeli smirked. "Cowboy, I didn't travel across 3 deserts to hide behind anyone." The ground shook with the incoming chaos. The story wasn't just beginning. It was returning with fire. The sun dipped low, The gunshots grew louder, ricocheting off stone walls. They ducked behind a cluster of boulders. Ethan loaded his revolver while Naeli drew a ceremonial Apache blade, its obsidian edge glinting dangerously. "I thought you came here for peace," Ethan muttered, checking the ammunition. "I did," she answered calmly. "But peace is a seed that often grows in soil watered by battle." Naeli pushed him aside. "Ethan Cole, don't you dare die protecting me. I didn't cross half the world to marry a ghost." He blinked at her boldness. "You keep talking about marriage like it's a done deal." "It is," she said without hesitation. "It's the will of the spirits." He opened his mouth to argue, but she was already rising to her feet, blade in hand. Eyes locked on the shadows approaching fast. Her bravery stunned him. The young girl he'd rescued was long gone. In her place was a warrior. Riders emerged from the dust, 3 men with bandanas covering their faces. Rifles raised. Ethan fired first, grazing one bandit's shoulder. Naeli darted forward with lightning precision, her blade slicing through the air as she leapt toward a second rider, knocking him clean off his horse. Ethan cursed softly. "Hell, woman, remind me never to get on your bad side." The fight was fierce, raw, and wild. Dust clouds exploded beneath galloping hooves. Ethan's revolver cracked like thunder. In minutes, 2 of the attackers were down. The third fled, leaving a trail of dust behind him. Ethan lowered his gun. "We need to get you safe." Naeli shook her head. "No, there is no safety until they are all gone." He studied her closely, the fire in her eyes, the confidence in her stance, the faint tremble in her fingertips that she tried to hide. "You're hurt." "It's nothing." Blood trickled from a shallow cut. She pulled away stubbornly. "You saved me once," she said, "but I'm not a girl anymore. I can fight my own battles." "Then let me fight them with you," Ethan said softly. Her expression softened. "You would do that for me?" "For you." He swallowed. "Hell, Naeli, I've been waiting 10 years without knowing it." The wind grew still. Something fragile and powerful passed between them. But the peace didn't last. At the canyon entrance, a group of Apache riders appeared. Naeli's people dismounted and walked forward. "Daughter," he said in Apache. Naeli bowed her head. Ethan recognized the man, Chief Yaddle. "You chose to leave your tribe for this cowboy," the chief said gravely. "And now your enemies follow you. You have brought danger to our people." "I brought destiny," Naeli replied. "Ethan Cole saved my life. I have returned to fulfill the vow." The chief's gaze flicked to Ethan. "And you, cowboy, do you accept what she offers? A bond between our people, sealed in marriage?" Ethan's heart pounded. He stared at Naeli, her fierce loyalty, her courage, her fire. But he also knew the weight of such a union. He wasn't sure he deserved it, or her. He began. But before he could answer, the bandits had returned. And this time, they weren't alone. Naeli stepped beside Ethan, gripping his hand. "Whatever you say next, cowboy, say it with your heart." He looked into her eyes, saw the reflection of a future he never knew he wanted, saw the woman who crossed deserts for him, saw the fate he'd tried to outrun. He squeezed her hand. "Naeli, I accept." A slow smile spread across her face, one full of warmth, triumph, and something like love. The chief nodded. "Then stand together, fight together, and if the spirits will it, live together." The enemy thundered closer. Ethan drew his revolver. Naeli raised her blade. "Ready, husband?" she teased. He smirked. "Lead the way, wife." And as the desert exploded into chaos once more, the cowboy and the Apache warrior stood side by side, bound by blood, fire, destiny, and a vow the whole world would soon hear.